I wanted to try doing things a little different this time when it comes to critiquing Starfield content. Normally, the fans that really enjoy the game, warts and all, or those that defend the game despite its glaring weaknesses, have a certain air about them, which oftentimes suggests something along the lines of,
"You just don't get it."
As if something important or vital was missing when it comes to connecting with Starfield and assessing its universe. Now, it's important to open with the fact that I do have some very positive things to say about the Terran Armada DLC, but it's too much of a one-to-one comparison of what's wrong with the base vanilla game concerning its shortcomings that I have to take this opportunity to make a much bigger point first. It's much easier to be thorough with a smaller, more specific addition like this DLC. That being the case, I decided to speak to a group of Starfield defenders in advance, before giving any critique this time around, just to see if I'd missed anything, or if my bias was getting in the way of how I'm absorbing any important details and information, from the characters themselves or the locations being explored. Basically, I wanted to avoid any possible willful ignorance or short-sightedness on my part. Remember, you weren't ready for Starfield, right? Well, the results from that interaction were pretty interesting to say the least. To make things simple and straightforward, I made a bold claim that the Terran Armada and House Faroon are the same faction. Full stop. That's my current claim. To my surprise, though, I didn't receive nearly as much pushback as I was expecting. But to be fair to the defenders at the time, I set the stage before making such a contentious statement. I'm still offering the challenge today for anyone who disagrees. Show me how I'm wrong. These are careful, meticulous observations that I made throughout the DLC to finally come to this conclusion. For clarity, here are my 8 total claims. 1. Both groups have discovered some kind of MacGuffin tech that gives them an edge over their competitors. 2. Neither group values the lives of their brightest, most competent people, doctors, scientists, etc. 3. Both have invested heavily in a failed super soldier program with the intent of starting a war with TSS. 4. Both groups claim themselves to be supremacists with no substantial moral ethics to support any of their claims. 5. Neither group has any misgivings about targeting the civilian population of their enemies or their own. 6. Both groups make wild, unsubstantiated claims that contradict their in-game actions and motivations. 7. Both factions have backroom dealings with Ryusian Industries, one with EM weapons, the other with intelligence. 8. Both factions ultimately fall into ruin by the hands of their very own Frankenstein's monster, in one way or another. Factions having things in common isn't necessarily bad, but I invite anyone who disagrees with my general assessment to correct me if I'm being obtuse or if I'm oversimplifying things. I'd love to hear from Bethesda defenders that are confused about why some players have great issue with this game and are still complaining till this day. I really hate to say it, but some of the story beats in the DLC feel extremely rushed, rehashed, and overtly lazy. There's mountains of material that could have been used to make the Terran Armada a much more interesting faction, story-wise, but was left on the table for some bizarre reason. In any case, here's some pretty cool things that I liked about the Terran Armada DLC. 1. Delta is an awesome companion that allows you to bypass the bug where members of Constellation get mad at the player, leaving the party for no good reason. 2. The combat during the incursions actually feel like a genuine war zone, and not the usual small skirmishes inside facilities. 3. The Terran Armada warships feel tactical, powerful, and unique compared to the vanilla ships in-game. 4. The armor, clothing, and weapon rewards are gratifying to loot and add to the player's collection. 5. Most of the combat taking place in space was a really smart design choice and adds to gameplay variety. 6. The new outpost workstations and hubs are pretty snazzy. 7. Terran Armada legitimately feels like proper in-game content for Starfield. Strictly from a gameplay perspective, Terran Armada is entertaining, mindless action. Does it make the Starfield universe any more intriguing, nuanced, or layered? Nope, not really. If anything, it makes the Colony Wars storyline seem more convoluted, abysmal, and confusing. I thought that I was starting to understand everything, but now I have no idea what I'm looking at anymore. Keep in mind, this is just me critiquing the Terran Armada DLC by itself. I'm not taking anything added by the Free Lanes update into account. I already gave my opinion on the content from that edition much earlier. During the discussions I had prior to this critique, someone had a pretty interesting take, suggesting that the Terran Armada were similar to the first cavalry soldiers from the Freestar Rangers questline, if they had the funding to wage war against the Freestar government. There may be some truth to that, of which I also remember showing up in the Vulture mission, but I recall most of their gripes being boiled down to,
"The organization I was loyal to betrayed me and my comrades, therefore I have creative license to be a terrible human to civilians."
If there's more there, I'm open to hearing someone else's thoughts on the matter. Is Terran Armada the worst DLC ever made? No. Is it a perfect, bite-sized example of everything wrong with the vanilla game? Yes. The fact that the DLC is so small, specific, and straightforward forces the conversation surrounding it to be honest. No one can hide behind scale or malleability with this one. It's pretty much a what you see is what you get product. It's unfortunate that the problems with Starfield still feel as if they're extremely easy to fix, and the game has so much potential, but the people making it would much rather argue with customers on Steam, take weird pot shots at the audience on social media, make snarky comments in interviews, rather than just fix their broken product. Everything surrounding this game is inexplicably weird. Oh, and by the way, Bethesda, that whole issue your games still have with quests not properly progressing or completing because X character isn't standing in some exact spot or location needs to go away, like today. How is this still an issue 20 plus years later?
Program successful. Hijacking complete. Auxiliary. Flaw detected in the Terran network.